Alright folks, this is called the inverted classroom, and yes, I am in the room with you, but what I want to make sure of is that every class gets the same information explained in the same way, and that way I can be free to kind of work with you all and move around and kind of make sure everybody's still on task. So pay attention to this. This is something I'm going to try out more often for next year. And today we're working on tables, words, and graphs. And this is for May 16th, 2018. Let's do it. Okay, we have number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. And we're going to solve the following equations for y. If you see this on the SOL, what it means is you have to take each equation and make it so that it says y equals something times x plus or minus some other number. Okay, so let's take a look at these. Now you see that pause button down there? Whenever I see that, that's going to remind me to either hit the pause button or make sure that there's some time for you all to work these out. So I'm going to work through this first one, but the next couple you're going to have some time so you can actually work them out. So we have 2x plus 2y equals 14. First move. Subtract 2x from both sides. We have to get that x on the other side of the equation. So we just subtract it. We can't combine it with 14 because we don't know what x is, but we can certainly move it. So what we end up doing is 2y equals negative 2x plus 14. All right. So now we have our 2y equals negative 2x plus 14. What do we do to get that y by itself? Divide everything by 2. So let's do that. Divide all our terms by 2. And you end up with y equals negative x, that's what you get when you do negative 2 divided by 2, plus 7, that's 14 divided by 2. Now when you see the pencil, that's going to mean that I'm hoping that you guys write this down. Number 2, so we have x equals 4 plus y. So let's subtract x from both sides. X minus x is 0, 4 plus x minus x is 0 equals 4 plus y minus x. We don't know what y or x are going to be, so what we have to do is just put those terms on the other side of the equation. So we have 0 equals 4 plus y minus x. Now we're going to subtract y from both sides, and we end up with negative y, that's 0 minus y equals 4 minus x. I'm going to swap places with the negative x and the 4. I'm not rearranging sides. All I'm doing is swapping places with them. So negative y equals negative x plus 4. Now I am going to take that term, because that says negative 1y, we can't have a negative y. So I'm going to divide all my terms by negative 1. So we end up with positive y equals positive x minus 4. Okay. Number 3, we have negative 2y plus 3x equals 13. Our first move is this. We subtract 3x from both sides. Once we do that, we have negative 2y equals negative 3x plus 13. So at this point, all we do is divide all our terms by negative 2, because we have to end up with just y equals something times x plus or minus some number. So we divide by negative 2. And we end up with y equals 1.5x, and that 1.5 comes from negative 3 divided by negative 2 minus 6.5, and that's 13 divided by negative 2. Alright, so now we have 2x plus 5y equals 3. Now, if we're doing this, our first move is to subtract 2x from both sides. Once we do that, we have 5y equals negative 2x plus 3. Now, divide all our terms by 5, and we end up with this. 5y divided by 5 is y. Negative 2x divided by 5 is negative 0.4x, plus 3/5 is 0.6. And that's our final equation. All right, moving on. 3x plus y equals 8. Our only move that we need to make for this one is to subtract 3x. So we end up with y equals negative 3x plus 8. And all I did was take that 3x and move it to the other side of the equation by subtracting it. So y equals negative 3x plus 8. Moving on. 4x minus 5y equals 8. First move, subtract 4x from both sides of the equation. And we end up with negative 5y equals negative 4x plus 8. Now, because I have negative 5y and I can't leave it that way, I'm going to divide all my terms by negative 5. And if I do that, we end up with y equals 0.8x, and that's what I get when I divide negative 4 by negative 5. I get 8/10 x plus 8 divided by negative 5, which is negative 1.6. So that's our equation for number 6. All right. Now, with number 7, we have x plus y equals 4, and we're going to solve these assuming our domain is negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. We're going to make a table. But there's 2 steps in this. First, we have to convert it to y equals something times x plus or minus some number. And the second thing we have to do is actually make the table. So let's do that. With number 7, we have x plus y equals 4. Subtract x from both sides, and we end up with y equals negative 1 times x plus 4. Now that we have our equation worked out, we can actually create that table. So m is going to be whatever our x coefficient is, and m is the same thing as saying slope, okay? You're going to see that again in algebra. And b is positive 4. So our equation is negative 1x plus 4. So here's what we have to do. Starting with negative 2, we plug that in as our x. So y equals negative 1 times negative 2 plus 4. We get 6. Negative 1, if we plug that in, y equals negative 1 times negative 1 plus 4. That's 1 plus 4 equals 5. Our next one, 0. Y equals negative 1 times 0 plus 4. 4 becomes our y. And notice how I'm putting all my ordered pairs on the other side. You may want to do that too, because that might be on the SOL. 1. Y equals negative 1 times 1 plus 4. That's 3. The order pair is 1, 3. And then we have 2. Y equals negative 1 times 2 plus 4, and our y value is 2. The order pair is 2, 2. All right, going on to number 8. Y equals negative 4x plus 6. We don't need to change anything. We can go straight to the table. It's already in the right form. So here we go. Our m, our coefficient for x, is negative 4. Our b is 6. And remember, this form is called slope-intercept form. Y equals m times x plus b. So that's where I'm getting these numbers. But anyway, our formula is negative 4x plus 6. If we plug in negative 2, y equals negative 4 times negative 2 plus 6 is 14. Our first order pair is negative 2, 14. Negative 1. If I plug in negative 1, negative 4 times negative 1 is 4 plus 6 is 10. 0, if I plug in 0, negative 4 times 0 plus 6, our order pairs are 0, 6. 1, if I plug in 1, negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 plus 6 is 2. Our order pairs, 1, 2. And our last one, negative 4 times 2 is sorry about that. Our last one, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 plus 6 becomes negative 2. All right, number 9. We have 4x plus 8 equals 2y. So we got to convert this. So I'm going to swap places with the 8 and the 4x. I haven't rearranged anything. I'm just changing where things are. Now I'm going to do the same thing one more time. I'm going to put the 2y equals 4x plus 8. I haven't moved anything from any sides of the equation. All I've done is change the way it looks. Now, having done that, you see there's only one move to make. We divide all our terms by 2. So if we do that, 2y divided by 2 is y, 4x divided by 2 is just 2x, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Y equals 2x plus 4. All right, so now let's make that table. Formula is y equals 2x plus 4. And we have x is negative 2, y equals negative 2 times negative 2 plus 4, 0. So our first order pair is negative 2, 0. Plug in negative 1, y equals 2 times negative 1 plus 4, 2. So our second order pair is negative 1, 2. 0, we plug in 0 is 2 times 0 plus 4, 0, 4. We have 1, 2 times 1 is 2 plus 4 is 6. And if we plug in 2, 2 times 2 is 4 plus 4 is 8. So there's your table. All right, those are all three answers. Those are all three answers. So with numbers 10 and 11, they're asking which ordered pairs are solutions of each equation. So here's your strategy for this. You have to plug in your x from each one of those answers and see whether you come out with the y in each answer. And I'll show you what I mean. And there might be more than one answer for each question. So if I use this first formula, y equals 3x plus 1, I am going to plug in 0. So y equals 3 times 0 plus 1. Our y value is 1. So when I plug in x is 0, I get 1 for y, so A is definitely an answer. And you'll see this in a second. 0.33 is 1/3, and negative 1 is the only other x value in that question. C and D both use negative 1. So let's look. As I said before, if we plug in 0, we do get 1 as our y, so A is the right answer. 0.33, that's 1/3. Now, if you only speak decimal, when you get 1.99, remember what I said about the longer you make your decimal, the closer you get to a certain number you're looking for. So yes, we'll count that one as right. Besides, if you use a fraction, you will end up with 2. So B is correct. Now with C, when we plug in negative 1, we get negative 2. We don't get negative 2/3. So D is a right answer, but C is not. So A, B, and C are, I'm sorry, A, B, my bad, A, B, and D are all right answers. All right. C is the only one that is not a solution for that equation. Okay. Going on. So with number 11, they tried to throw you all off by replacing X and Y with B and A, but don't let that bother you. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide all our terms by 2. So 2A equals 5 minus B becomes 2A divided by 2 equals 5 divided by 2 minus 1B divided by 2. And we end up with A equals 2.5 minus 0.5B. Now, let's go ahead and put in the y and the x like we're used to seeing. Y equals 2.5 minus 0.5x. I'm not moving anything, I'm just swapping places. So instead of having that 2.5 first, y equals negative 0.5x plus 2.5. Now we can make a table. So here's where our table begins. I'm going to plug in 5, 5 halves, and 1 just to see which answers match those domain choices. So here we are. When I plug in 5, I get 0. So A is the right answer, but B is not, because I only come out with 0 when I plug in 5. C, if I plug in 2.5, I get 1.25. So C is not a right answer. And with D, when I plug in 1, I get 2. So D is also the wrong answer. The only answer that matches number 11 is A. All right, and that's it.